You're listening to Permission to Shine, the podcast. Stories of overcoming obstacles and finding self-empowerment with Sherisse Bisram, Inner Power Activation Leader. The Oxford Dictionary describes permission as the action of officially allowing someone to do a particular thing, consent, authorization. What if you were that someone and you gave yourself the permission to be everything you wanted to be and more? No more playing small and accepting less than. You are worthy of the life of your dreams, regardless of what it is that you've been through. And honestly, it's exactly what you've been through that has shaped you into the version of yourself that you are now. Like a diamond, you've endured so much, but instead of breaking, you have become stronger and brighter. And if that's not a reason to shine, then I don't know what is. And if nature can do it, then why the hell can't you? You are brave, you are strong, you are powerful, and you are enough. Hear my call and give yourself the permission to shine, because you don't realise how many people are inspired by your light. Hey everyone, we are back with another international guest this time. I love an international guest, and all the way in sunny California, which is absolutely amazing. I loved LA when I went out there. I did actually plan to live there, and then the pandemic hit and everything changed. And now I just admire LA from afar, and I'll definitely go back and visit. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to introduce to you the fabulous Xochii.
Hi, I'm Xochii de la Noche. I am the multi-dimensional Bruja of play and pleasure. I'm a burlesque artist, a flow artist, a DJ, a multi-hyphenate, multi-passionate creative.
Yes, and I always attract you as a person, like all the variations of us of being like, I mean, I'm a manifesting generator. I don't know if you know what your human
Oh,
design
me
is.
too.
Yeah, I would have assumed so, because you do all the things like I did all the things too. And yeah, I love that so much. And I think there's such a beautiful essence of, having all of these things that you do, and it just feels very I want to say divine feminine, and I don't know if you feel tapped into that, but I feel that from you.
I do feel more tapped into my divine feminine these days, but I also really strongly feel both like the masculine energy and the
Mm.
feminine energy within myself.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's really important. And I feel like that was a journey that I had to find for myself as well. Because when I did my healing journey, I really eradicated that masculine energy out of my body. And I was like, no, I can't exist without it. And I think that integration is what gives us power, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I've learned that the masculine energy is really about action. And I think growing up, I had a lot of masculine energy. Like I'm Sagittarius, so I'm always
Mm.
doing things. And so I really had to tap into being still and feeling as I got older. And so now I feel like they're a little bit more in balance. But I'm
Yeah, I
very
love
proud of
that.
my masculine and my feminine energy.
Yeah, amazing. Well, on that note, would you like to kind of tell us a bit about your story and how you've embarked on obviously the work that you do now and who you are as a person as well? Because I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, so I am a child of two immigrants. My mom is from Mexico, my dad is from El Salvador, and they immigrated to Los Angeles. So they met in a city in Los Angeles called Glassell Park. And from there, I was raised in Denver. So they did move from Los Angeles and did a migration path from Los Angeles to Texas to Denver, where I grew up. And I grew up in a predominantly white area. And I am not white. And I think I grew up with a lot of beliefs about myself that I was ugly, that I was unattractive, that I was not worthy of a lot of these things that I was working really hard towards. Like school was the number one priority for me. And I was always told that, oh, it was just because I was not white that I was getting these accolades and that I was the tops in my school. So I grew up with a lot of those beliefs that were placed on me. And so when I came and moved to Los Angeles, because I really wanted to move out of Denver, I started to unpack a lot of those beliefs and really regain my self confidence and really learn to retrust myself and re-indulge in a lot of my childhood passions that I gave up, like dancing and performance art. I was a big theater kid. I was a big choir kid. And I gave those up when I moved because I thought I wasn't good enough. And so after a while living in LA, I started to pick a lot of those back up. And it eventually led me to a burlesque class almost 10 years ago, where I was just doing it for fun. I think I saw the idea of burlesque on Tumblr during the twee era, where it was very like Zoe Deschanel and those like baby doll dresses and vintage lingerie. And I just wanted to do it for fun. And there was a series of classes where it was an intro, and the next series they would put you on stage. And then I told myself at the beginning of the first series that I wasn't ready, that I wasn't thin enough, that I was only non-white person in my class, that when I hit all of these things, then maybe I could think about going on stage. And when the pandemic hit and we were all in lockdown, it reframed a lot of my own goals and thoughts, and showed me that none of these rules are real, and that I should really just try it, because if we are gonna be gone tomorrow, then I don't want to regret anything that I didn't try. So I got on stage in 2021 when our first lockdowns were lifted here in Los Angeles, and I have never stopped being on stage. It's been a love of my life. It's taken me to so many places now in the US. It hasn't taken me international yet, but that's a goal. And it's really helped me regain a lot of confidence and helped me shine and really take my space back.
Yeah, I love that so much. And it's so beautiful, like having this podcast space, because I feel like I'm attracting a tribe of people that have a similar story to me. And it's just really beautiful to have that connection. Like, absolutely resonate with, growing up in a predominantly white area, feeling not meeting the beauty standard and feeling that there was something wrong with me, and it took me, yeah, a long time to kind of fall in love with myself and like see the
Yes,
beauty in who I am. And I think, as you've said there, like using art and specifically dance to be able to tap into that, I think it's really, really powerful. And I think the beautiful thing about burlesque is um all shapes and sizes and people can do it, and it's beautiful anyway, like that's such a
hmm,
beautiful space for anyone. And I really do, I've got some friends that teach burlesque, and I really do promote people to give it a go or go and watch it, because it's such a empowering space, isn't it? It's liberating for so many people. And I think that that's so, yeah, beautiful that that story just, yeah, heightened everything that you, well, I guess it released everything that you thought you were and allowed you to see who you really are. That sounds so
absolutely.
beautiful. Oh, I love that for you. So I guess along this journey, finding your way, I mean, what was really the moment? So I know you kind of said the stage moment, but would you say that was the real moment you gave yourself the permission to shine? Or do you think that there was, another moment?
I think that was a really big moment, is reaching out to a local producer that was putting on the show. I think that was the first moment of, because the show that I was in, it was predominantly pole dancers. And when I started doing burlesque, it was with silk fans. And so it was very different from the lineup. And so part of me was giving myself a lot of hesitation, because I'm not a pole dancer and I don't want to stand out too much. And what if they think it's weird? But I reached out anyway, and the producer was absolutely excited to have me be a part of the lineup, and said that it would bring a lot of variety to a group of pole dancers, and had me like right in the spot in the middle. So it all aligned when I reached out. So I think that was a really big moment even before I stepped on stage. But even before then, during the lockdown, when I started picking up, because I do a lot of flow art, so silk fans, something that's called a levy wand, and I was doing that before I really invested in burlesque. And I started posting videos of me just dancing around in the silk fans. And it was before I had not an agenda, but before I had a goal, and I was just posting them because I wanted to share them. And a lot of them were imperfect. A lot of them were works in progress, and me learning moves and messing up and trying out what feels good to different songs. And I uploaded them to the internet and just decided that I wanted people to see them, and I didn't care if they were imperfect. I just wanted to take that space up on the online space, especially since that's where we all were at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And what's really wonderful in hearing your story is, listening to the story you used to tell yourself. You know, like you used to tell yourself a story of, you know, you not maybe being what they wanted to see, or, you know, like because you'd fed that narrative because you saw it in your childhood. And it's such a key point to mention that, because I think so many people, and especially, you know, women identifying people, there's so much pressure from society to, you know, meet the body shape and the size, and, you know, skin tone has only really in the last 10 years become more beautiful, really. I think when I was younger, it was the Kate Moss era. I don't know if you know who Kate Moss is, but she's like a super skinny supermodel, white blonde hair.
Oh,
And
yes.
that was
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah, like no bum, no lips, no nothing, you know, and that was what was beautiful. Whereas now we have so many different variations of what beauty is, which is so wonderful. But even more than that, I think for you to just say, you know what, I'm just going to put it up anyway. And I guess that process, I mean, would you say it was doing the burlesque and just going for it that made you fall back in love with yourself, or was there like a step before that you had to take?
I think burlesque definitely helped fill this gap that I had been trying to fill for a while, because I did grow up, and because of the beauty standards that I was trying to reach, I did develop an eating disorder growing up. And so there was a lot of healing when I moved to LA that I did to um, undo a lot of those behaviors and mindsets. But there was always this point in my healing that I could eat regularly, and I could accept that, oh, this is just the way that I look. But there is always that like really loving and really falling in love with myself that I wasn't able to get. But once I started doing burlesque, and really once I started to be naked a lot of the times and be adorned naked, and, you know, rhinestones and really cute lingerie gave me that push into falling in love with myself and telling myself that I was worthy of being adorned, that I was worthy of being looked at, that I was worthy of the applause, that I was worthy of the money that I was receiving and the compliments, and that I didn't have to justify those things, that I was just worthy of them as I was, however I was feeling on that day.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. And, you know, for me, like that worthiness is so much deeper than, I think when we say the word self-love, I think people think that it's this fluffy thing, but it's that feeling worthy of being able to accept yourself, I think, and receive all of the, you know, the wonderful things, like you said, the money and all of the things. And yeah, and that's something, there's something about being naked, isn't there? Like to be able to, and it's that bareness, isn't it? You know, and I think we
Mm-hmm.
use that analogy a lot, don't we, with like, I was left naked, you know, like in a sad way, like they left me naked. And it's like, no, actually, there's a really beautiful power there. Like this is what you were born with. This is who you are at your root core level, you know. So if you can be confident in that space and fill it with, you know, own every part of that, that's just so wonderful. And for anyone watching you in that space, I bet they're just in absolute awe of you, you know, like, wow, I love her, you know. I'm sure you get comments like that all the time.
Yeah, it's nice because the way that I perform burlesque, I do burlesque in like burlesque shows with other burlesque dancers, but in LA, I'm trying to lean on my Latina community. So I have often been the only burlesque dancer in a party or a show as like their entertainment. So sometimes I am some folks' only exposure to burlesque. So they're really excited, and they had no idea that something like this existed. And they had no idea that someone that is brown skin, chubby, small fat could be up on stage naked. So they're very excited when they see me, and it makes me excited. So it's a cycle of excitement.
Oh, I love that. And actually, I was going to ask you, in your community, is it a common thing or not at all, really, like to have burlesque performers?
So the Latina community has a really rich history, mostly internationally, of burlesque performers. There's ficheras, vedettes. And so we have a really rich history, but I think now there is a complication with religion and modesty and
Okay.
conservatism that it has become a little bit harder now to bring burlesque into these spaces. Like there are places in Los Angeles that are Hispanic, Latina, majoritively that are a little bit strict on what kind of entertainment that you can bring into those spaces. So, but there do exist Mexican, Central American burlesque dancers. We're just trying to figure out how to be a little bit more creative and how to warm up our communities to letting a little bit loose and accepting what we're doing and accepting that as a part of our history.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, when I think of like Latina music and like the vibrancy, I feel like there's almost that like it's not quite the permission to be fully in where you're at, but there's almost like a glimmer of it, isn't it? It's like it's almost like part way there. So I guess it's the push and pull, isn't it, to find that where you sit, I guess, in that space, but then also to carve your own way, which is just, yeah, really nice. So kind of on that as well, I mean, would you say that there is an obstacle? I mean, what are the obstacles that you are still facing now in this space? Is it the same as it was before? Like, is something changing?
I think we go in cycles. I think there was a time, based on what other burlesquers have told me before I got on stage and listening to their observations, but there was a time where there was a slight push around 2020 for more diversity. And I think what I get the feeling is that it was kind of for image purposes, so that way people can show that they are welcoming and more diverse than other people.
Ticking
But
boxes.
but now that we're about 4 years out, it does feel like, and the sentiment is the same from a lot of other marginalized burlesquers, that it is kind of going back to the same of majoritively thin, majoritively white lineups in mainstream. So it is harder to get on these bigger stages if you are not of the beauty standard, especially because there's a lot of whiplash back to, like you're saying, the Kate Moss, like a lot of folks talking about Ozempic and going back into diet mindsets. Like we are kind of in this whiplash era. But on the plus side, there are so many incredibly diverse and different abilities, different skin types of burlesque dancers. And because we see that, and because we're connected on the internet, we're more determined to not let us fall into the shadows again. So we're uplifting each other up. We're trying to have shows that are focusing on us. We're trying to promote each other's shows. So there is a really tight knit, both in the United States and international community, of us trying to keep our image alive.
Yeah, absolutely that. And that's something I'm really passionate about, is that anyone, whether it be the younger generation, especially the younger generation, but every person gets to see themselves represented. Like that is something I'm so an advocate for in every cell of my being. And actually, my mum has kind of walked with me on this journey of healing to her extent herself. So then when we're watching programs of, for example, we love Drag Race and stuff, like her understanding of drag and like all of these things, that my mum's never been closed-minded as a person anyway, but we love to see a different body shape. We love to see different physical abilities, and we celebrate it, like we're really those people. And I really hope that, the people in my community and the people that listen to what I say are also in that space. But I do think that there is a obligation to a consumer of content to keep opening their mind to that. Because if you fall prey to the, right-wing government or societal, whatever they want you to believe is beautiful and all of those things, you'll feel trapped into that loop. And then that's where, as a whole world, we start only seeing what they want us to see and not seeing the whole beauty of everything. And I think that that's really important, as like I said, as a consumer of any sort of content, is that you are making sure that you're aware of that, and like you're not just going for the programs that are particularly that type of body type or skin tone, and you're actually opening yourself up to different types of cultures and religions and people. Because this is why for me travel's played such a big part in my life. I mean, obviously I'm a brown person myself, but just, you know, going to different parts of the world where they don't live like you and understanding that and what that looks like, because in the West we're so narrow-minded, I think, at times, to what beauty is and what life is as well, you know. So I think that, I know that's probably, this is probably a deeper approach to the question and the answer there, but I just wanted to highlight that because I do think that's important as well, you know, especially to support, you know, artists like yourself. And even for myself, you know, when I was graduated as a professional dancer, I was walking into rooms of 500 girls ready to go to a cruise ship, and they were all 5'7", blonde or brunette and white and leggy. And I'm not that at all. Like, I'm 5'3". I was more curvy than what I am now, but I'm still curvy. Even at my most petite, I'm still a really curvy person. And I remember one employer saying to me, if you lost your curves, you would be more successful in your career. And I was like, yo, are you going to get a saw? Are we going to try and chop this bum off? Because it's not going anywhere, let me tell you that. So I really deeply resonate with all of these things. But I know that you also do other things too. So I'd love to know how this all fits in, because obviously you said you DJ as well, like there's some other bits. So how does everything intersect? Because obviously I know from juggling lots of pies myself. So I'd love for you to just explain how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, well, as a Sagittarius, I can get bored, not easily, but there are times where having a focus on one thing, I need variety. So for me personally, it gives me a lot of variety to switch from burlesque mode to DJ mode, to switch to finding a new skill. And the way that I try to combine them all is I use a lot of my photography, my videography skills to promote my Instagrams for both my DJing and my burlesque. So it helps me a lot with marketing. It also helps with recording other folks and making sure that they're getting the promotion that they also deserve. And all, to be honest, with the economy right now, burlesque can be a little bit difficult to pursue, to have other creative endeavors that I can pitch to entertainment, to folks looking for entertainment. So it gives me a lot of variety. It also gives both in my day to day and also in my income.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I was exactly the same as that, like doing the like commercial style work, but then also doing the evening gigs where I do like fire breathing and stilt walking and stuff. And then I do also promotional work as well. And then I'd be teaching. So there's lots of strings to the bow. And I think as an artist, you do need to have that to an extent, don't you, for that financial stability, as you were saying. But with the DJing, what type of music is it? Is it connected to the burlesque, or is it completely different? Like, I'd love to know how that intersects.
In a way, it's connected to burlesque. There is a residency that I have with a group of friends in Long Beach called Cumbia Fest. So it's a queer-led, LGBT-led cumbia night, and I'm allowed to DJ there. I'm allowed to do burlesque there. So it's kind of whatever I'm feeling, whatever the group is feeling. We usually have a theme for the night. So if I feel like DJing there, if I feel like burlesquing there, so it gives me the ability to be free flowing in that space and be free flowing in that community. But otherwise, other than maybe the music that I play at that cumbia night, they're not usually connected. I try to be a little bit more like dressed up and a little bit more extra when I go to my DJ gigs, just because I'm so used to being in quote unquote showgirl mode with the lashes and the sequence. So I always want to bring that element of sparkle to me DJing, especially since I'm not like forefront and center. Usually I'm on the side. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to connect them a little bit more. I like, my favorite genre to DJ is house music, but I also love playing cumbia, the like quinceañera classics. Those are always really fun. And yeah, I'm trying to explore a little bit more, just because as folks have different parties and different events, they have very specific requests. So I've been playing a lot more with Motown, R&B, and disco lately. That's been a big request. So I'm really flexible with what people want me to play.
Yeah, nice. I love that. It sounds like a good vibe, whatever it is you're playing. I'm here for it. Can you just explain what the cumbia is? Because we don't have that over here.
if I could explain what cumbia is.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you can just explain it for us.
Repeat the question.
Yeah, so if you can just let us know what cumbia is, because we don't have that over here in the UK. So just an idea of what sort of style of music it is.
Cumbia is a style of music that originates from Mexico, I think Central America as well. And it's a, how do I explain it? It's uh, it has like a very set of instruments. So usually there's what's called a guira. It's a metal sort of like canting instrument that you kind of like rub against. So
Okay.
there's usually that. And it's usually like a set like and the from what I remember, it originated it is a Black originated genre. So the slaves that were brought into the Latin
Yeah.
American countries, they weren't allowed to dance, so they needed beats that allowed them in the shackles to kind of like move really closely with their feet. So it is it's a more like tropical genre that originated in the Latin American countries, but now it's expanded. There's like tropical cumbia, there's northern cumbia, and they all have that same element of oh my god, I hope my crew doesn't mad at me because they're the musicians and I'm the dancer. So I hope I'm giving them justice. But it's just a very fun it's a very fun genre to dance to. It's a very common genre to dance to, at least in the Southern California, like Latina communities. I don't think it's very common in like the East Coast, because I've also heard that they don't have a ton of cumbia out there. So I think it's very popular in the West Coast of the United States.
I'm definitely going to look it up because I feel like
Yes, please.
I'm almost from what you're saying, I feel like there might be like a steel band element to it, but I don't know if that's right. I feel like that's my interpretation of what you're saying, but I think that I need to have a listen because I love anything that is just a little bit different, really. I mean, I love like beat just as a whole, like, you know, Afro beats dancehall is my kind of vibe
Yeah,
anyway. So
it is similar, like that same like beat. Like there's always like a steady beat to it, and then my friend does a cello, so they do like looping cello on top of it,
oh,
and
cool.
he adds like a wah wah like psychedelic kind of element to it. So you can get as wild as you can imagine with it, but there's always that like steady beat to it.
Yeah, that's
And you can
fun.
always mix it with like reggaeton too. So it's really fun.
Yeah, I love reggaeton. Oh, amazing. Well, learn something new every day. There you go. I'm going to definitely look that up. So in terms of like what you're doing, I mean, do you do work with people in like any teaching settings or anything like that, or is it just generally that people come to watch you perform and enjoy you that way?
Both. So people can watch me perform, and right now I am traveling around the United States, depending on the week. And I also do privates for folks, both for burlesque, and if you're interested in learning silk fans or levy, you want to do that as well. I'm crossing fingers, working on a few regular teaching opportunities in Southern California. So I will have more updates on those soon. So yeah, I do teach as well.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's important as well. Because I know that, you know, I don't know if you have do you have hen parties out there? Like bachelorette?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, so for us, like bachelorette parties, they're called hen parties over here. I don't know why hen, I don't get it. But they love a dance class, and that's really where I've been. I
Mhm.
used to teach loads of like bachelorette dance parties, and I can imagine that the burlesque one would be a massive thing out there. I mean, it has been in the UK, so I mean, maybe if you haven't niched down on that, that could be an avenue for you for sure.
That's a smart idea. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Oh, I mean, you're so fun. And I think that everything that you do comes from a place of passion, which is what we need more of in this world, you know? And I think that if anything, I hope that your story of um just like getting rid of that old story that doesn't serve you and actually choosing passion and following joy is what inspires people listening today, because I think that that's just really a nutshell of kind of what I've taken from your story. But you know, is there anything that you want to add to that?
My goal through my art is to inspire folks to follow their joy. It sounds really simple, but I think when I choose what I want to give my time to and what I want to commit to and what I want to dedicate to, it's always things that are rooted in my joy, my passion, and my pleasure. I think especially now as times get harder and people are struggling, it's really difficult to make time for joy and pleasure, and that there's this belief that we must continue to suffer and that we cannot have joy until we make X amount of money, or uh, until we hit this job, or until we reach this point of stability. And I think that there is some truth in that there are joys that we can't experience until we are stable. But I think that there are also small other joys that we can experience in community with each other that help support each other. Like asking for, like right today, I have a friend that is struggling with figuring out what to eat. And so what I find joy in is making, now more so these days, making home cooked meals that I used to eat when I was younger. So I made some home cooked enchiladas, and I'm going to deliver some to them. And that brings me joy, and it brings them joy too. And it's not like going out to a party. It's a really small, comforted joy. So the things that I try to do in my life are rooted in joy, pleasure, play, community, connection.
I love
And
that
I
so
hope that
much.
others
And
find joy in that too.
yeah, and wholesome. It just sounds really wholesome, the ethos that you have. And I think, I guess in my life too, I feel like I've made that shift of, dance for me was always a career, and I've led very masculinely in that space. But now, I'm completely flipped it over, and it's no longer my career. It's something that I can use for joy. And I think that is, me giving myself that permission to be like, oh, you know what, this still is a fun space for me, and I'm going to tap in when I feel like it, but not have the obligation there. And I think that exchange of what you were saying there about just even that cooking a meal for someone, all of these little things that we can do daily, like you said, it's not about the big gesture. Sometimes it's just about the little things that, that exchange of love. I think that's really it for sure. So yeah, that's really, really beautiful. I always have like a closing thing where I say like a soul to soul message. So I'd love for you to share either something you felt like you needed to hear when you were younger, or, if someone listening listening in on what you're saying, maybe feels the way you felt in the past. What would you say to them now?
You are worthy of all of the joy that you want for yourself in the future right now. You're worthy of all the joy and love that you want right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will pop all of your links in the show notes. So if anyone wants to find you, watch you, connect with you, then they absolutely can. But it's been absolutely lovely to talk to you. So thank you so much.
It's been lovely too.
If this episode resonated with you, please do like, follow, and share with someone that you know would benefit. If you're looking to dive in deeper to becoming your most unapologetic, most authentic, shining self, please do head to my website and join my newsletter, where you will find out about all of my upcoming events and speaking opportunities and all of the things that I have going on. And also, if you would like to work with me, please do drop me a DM on any of my socials or through my website. Love and light.